Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to do my first palette bingo in like 6 months time. I really need to do these more frequently because I have so much fun with them. I truly love the random aspect of these and I feel like they really make me kind of try something different color combinations, different placements of eyeshadows, and it pulls me out of my routine of using my panless eyeshadows as a focus. And I could not decide on what palette I wanted to use from my collection today. So I actually don't know what I'm going to be using quite yet. We're gonna randomize the palette together and then we're gonna randomize the eyeshadows that I'm going to use in today's look. So I've actually listed out all of my eyeshadows into a spreadsheet and then I copied them into a tiny decisions wheel here. I believe I have 17 or 18 eyeshadow palettes. Even the ones that are currently in my Panthose eyeshadows are here and eligible, but I'm kind of hoping I don't pick something for my Panthose eyeshadows, but we will see. So let's just do that together right now. The palette is going to be the Nabla Soul Blooming, which is currently in my Panthose eyeshadows, but it is a really gorgeous palette. So I have it right here in my everyday makeup drawer beside me. It's this stunning palette. This is definitely not at all seasonal. Right now we are at the very beginning of fall and this is a palette that just screams, it just embodies spring altogether. This blooming, this freshness, it really reads throughout the entirety of this palette. There are 12 eyeshadows in here and I'm going to randomize 4 to use in today's look, I believe. So for today's look, I'm going to use the Pretty Random app to decide between shades 1 to 12. So I'm just going to go in rows. So 1 to 4, and then this one would be 12, just following each of the rows here. So let's pull the numbers together using the Pretty Random app. As I said, I have the numbers 1 to 12 eligible in here. Let me actually just clear my history so that it's easy to kind of recap on what shades I select, but we're gonna choose 4 shadows. I'm not sure if you'll even be able to see that. Okay, shadow number 1 is number 7. Next will be number 10. Sorry, I know it's very difficult to read. Number 9, so right beside 10. And lastly is number 12. So it sounds like there's gonna be a lot in that bottom row. So shadow number 7 is going to be this one right here called Climbing Rose. It is a gorgeous, warm, shimmering pink shade. This is one that I have been reaching for quite often in tandem with Bolero in my Panthose eyeshadows, but it is a really beautiful, fresh kind of color pink, and I'm looking forward to integrating it into today's look. The next selection was shade number 10, so we have 8, 9, and 10. 10 is Flowery, which is a matte periwinkle kind of shade. And there's a swatch of Flowery right there. Very springy, very colorful so far. Shade number 9 is the one immediately beside number 10, which is Anemone right here. Anemone? Is that how you pronounce that word? It's kind of like a rich, almost purple blue shade. It's very soft. It's very blendable, and it's just a really gorgeous, rich kind of tone. And then finally is shade number 12, which is the brown here in the bottom right corner. It's a matte chocolate brown shade and it's called Caravaggio. And it is right here. So I have a good mix of mattes and metallics. And those are the 4 shades we're going to be working with for today's look. So I'm going to start off with that kind of periwinkle shade. That is just the natural first step, I think, based on the color selection that I have here. And I do need to use kind of more of a almost dense crease brush for this shade from what I remember from having it previously in my Panthose eyeshadows, because it can come off a little bit patchy if you don't kind of pack on the pigment to begin with and then blend. So I'm just going to apply this with more of a dense crease. This is the Zoeva 225 Luxe Eye Blender here. And just making sure that it comes off as pretty even throughout the crease. And then I'm going to try to blend it as best as possible as well. This did come off kind of a little patchy, so I'm just going to use a completely clean brush. I almost said cream. And just buff everything out as best as possible. I think I want to do a halo situation with these. My first instinct is to put the pink kind of on the inner portion and then the blue on the outer portion, but I think I want to do a halo kind of combining the two a little bit more. But in order to create the depth of the halo, I do want to go in with the shade Caravaggio, and I'm just going to use this little kind of angled brush here, and I'm just going to apply this to the outer corner of my lid and kind of blend it into that periwinkle shade. And I'm using this more so as a deepening. I hope it doesn't really register as like brown, but more so just to create some depth underneath of the blue. And then I'm just going to apply the eyeshadow to the very tip of this brush and use the tip as best as I can to get right into that inner corner of my eye. And I don't want to make it like cover too much surface area, but I just want to use the point to apply, and then I can use the rest of the brush to like blend it together. I think I'm gonna go in with the pinky shade Climbing Rose before I go in with the blue. And that way I can see exactly where I want to apply the blue as opposed to like covering too much of my lid to begin with. And I'm just using my finger to apply this. So I ended up pretty much covering everything that didn't have that brown shade on it. And I'm just going to try to use the blue very, very sparing, I think, for this halo eye. I don't know. I'm not loving this, but we'll see. You never really know until you have the full face done. And then I'm going into the shade Anemone, which is that kind of purpley blue metallic there. And I'm going to use a smudger kind of brush. This one's a Lottie London brush. I have no idea which this is, but I pretty much always use this for kind of like smoky liner and for halo eye situations as well. So I'm just going to apply this on top of that brown shade and into the pink. Same brush that I originally applied Flowery with, I did just put a tiny bit more product on to kind of blend this corner out and intensify the tone of Flowery as well. I do feel like I've almost lost its impact through applying all the other shadows so far. So I'm just going to re-intensify that. I'm almost like pressing the pigment into the edge so that I don't blend it and like accidentally take it too far away or make it look too muddy. I'm just almost like tapping on here. I want to apply a tiny bit of that deeper metallic blue on the inner portion of my lid here, but I really want it to be a very, very small amount. So I'm going to use my Real Techniques detailer brush here and just try to use the point of it to really get around the tear duct area there. I feel like with my hooded eyes and small eyes as well, that it can feel very closed off if I bring too much, especially of a dark color like this, into this inner portion of my lid. It can really close them off. So I just want to be very, very minute in my application of this to have the effect of a halo, but it still feel very open and round on my eyes. It's kind of my hope and dream here. We'll see. I think that's working all right, especially for the amount of product that I want to put down. Now, it's funny, when I swatched that color, it does look very metallic in the swatch when I was using the oils on my finger, but I actually feel like it's reading as a matte when I'm applying it with a brush on both this inner portion and on the outer portion of my lid. It's very interesting. Not saying that as a bad thing, I just find that it's kind of not what I was expecting. I haven't been using this color very often at all. You can see it's not a very used shade in the palette. And then I'm going to use my e.l.f. glitter glue to just intensify the pink on the inner portion, or center portion rather, of my lid. So I'm just applying this with my ring finger on both eyes. And then I'm going to use my middle finger to pick up more of the product, and yeah, look how much more intensely that is applying now. And I'm almost going to use whatever is left to try to blend the blue and the pink together even more. So here is what the upper lid looks like with those 4 shades already placed there. I am going to kind of clean up my under eyes and then apply my base product, and I'll be right back to kind of tie the entirety of the look together with you. So I've pretty much finished off the entirety of the look here now. All of my complexion, I have a lip liner, which is my ColourPop Brink, which I'm trying desperately to finish up in my project pan right now. And overall, I really am liking the way that this look is coming together now that it's kind of more tied together. And I'm wondering what to do with the lower lash line. I feel like this ends up being a big struggle for me almost every time I do a palette bingo, but I think I'm going to use the same kind of smudger brush that I used to apply that deeper metallic blue. And I'm just going to use whatever is left on the brush and mix it in with Flowery, which is that periwinkle shade, and just kind of get a combination of the two to apply to the majority of my lower lash line as well. And this brush kind of allows me to be a bit more targeted in my application. And I think I want to put a tiny, tiny bit of the pink like right in this inner corner of my lower lash line. It could end up looking a little bit almost sickly applying it right there, but I'm going to try it. I'm just using this tiny, tiny little brush. This is a KJH 21 brush from the Spectrum set. I'm just going to apply that right there. Yeah, I don't know about having pink that close to my tear duct area, if that's flattering or not, but whatever. I am undecided if that looks good or not. Meh, it's cool. It's all right. I am going to use a tiny bit of my Physicians Formula Butter Blush, which is in my project pan. And I'm going to use the same brush, but I just kind of quickly wiped off the product. I'm just going to use the same brush to almost diffuse that a little bit. This has a slightly corally kind of tint to it that I think will tie really well with that pink, but will diffuse and minimize the intensity of it. Yeah, that looks a little bit better in my opinion. I'm going to apply some mascara and then the look will be complete, I think. We'll reevaluate after the mascara is applied. So I'm going to curl my lashes. I'm going to apply some of my Bite Beauty Upswing mascara and I'll be right back. So here we have the finalized eye look. I kind of feel like I should have applied more of the brown or more in an evident way, but I don't know. I don't know how I would do that given where I ended up with this look. I am just going to use a little bit of the blush from Physicians Formula, the Natural Glow, to kind of blend out this edge just a bit more and to make everything just feel a little bit more cohesive, to kind of bounce the light a little bit. I've been using this product so much for this exact reason, to like just add as a very final step for pretty much all crease colors. It doesn't apply too much pigmentation, but it just softly blends everything together. Yeah, I really actually quite enjoy the way that this turned out. I oftentimes, when I do a palette bingo, I try to go for like what is my second thought, not like my very first thought. My very first thought with this was pink on the inner portion, blue on the outer portion, brown kind of in the outer part of the crease, purple on the inner part of the crease, and just create almost like a two-toned eye look that just gradients, which is kind of my go-to placement for so many different color combinations. And instead I did this very almost angular kind of halo situation that doesn't feel at all springy, even though this palette is full-on spring in my opinion. I actually feel like this feels kind of fall, kind of Halloween-y. It gives me Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland vibes. And I'm definitely here for that because I adore that original cartoon. I love it so much. But yeah, when you look at this palette, I never would have thought that I'd create this kind of more deep, almost sultry kind of look with it. At least on my own, I would not have paired these colors together to create this kind of look, and I really am super happy with the way that it turned out. I hope that you enjoyed watching today's palette bingo, seeing how the look came together, picking the palette and picking the eyeshadows with me, and just playing around. It was so much fun. So thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.
You okay, Ken?